Hi again, folks. This is your Serial Cynic. Beautiful day out here today. I know you guys have seen me in coats a bit. Today, I have my coat down here, but it's been pretty... was getting sweaty actually. So I decided to take it off. Well, here I am with another video today. And this video is about a topic I've spoken about before. And it's back to conspiracy theories. I don't know why these things get onto my skin. I don't know why they're pet peeves of mine, but they just bug me. So forgive me if I'm on here talking about conspiracy theories again. I know this is a lot of people's pet projects. I know this is something that a lot of people like to dive into, passes the time away to dwell on conspiracy theories. Me, on the other hand, a lot of them I don't give much credibility to, but looking at the proliferation of conspiracy theories on YouTube, after having my YouTube channel just going through and just trying to research things, the amount of conspiracy theories that I see in terms of videos, I would say for every one that I saw or see where someone is using actual facts, verifiable sources, peer-reviewed sources, for every one that I see like that, I want to say there are about 1,000 where Armchair Bob is home in his house creating a video, drumming up paranoia and fear about various conspiracies that are going on out there to try to kill us all. Now, as I've said in the past, and let me disclaim this, this does not mean I am not saying that there are not things that are out there that we should be fearful of, that we should be careful of. I am not denying any of that. I am not denying that our government, the U.S. government, has not been involved in certain things that are not exactly pleasant. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that you don't have certain groups of people in this world who feel that they're the shit, so to speak, and they don't care about anyone else, and perhaps they're doing things out there that may qualify as a conspiracy. Not denying any of that. But for a lot of the stuff that I see that's out there, it's just pure garbage. That's just me saying that. Now, who am I? Am I authority or something like that to make those kind of statements? Well, I don't have a whole bunch of credentials behind my name, but some things just don't make any sense whatsoever. Now, I know the conspiracy theorists will say, well, this doesn't make any sense. In my case, some of these conspiracies don't make any sense at all. Now, the way I look at it is that I don't think that there are groups of people or the government that's out there trying to kill us all. I look at it more as some of us dying, some of us ending up with certain diseases and everything are byproducts of government or manufacturers, whoever you want to put into this, their negligence, their ignorance. For example, if I am the president of a country, notably this one, and I don't believe in something known as climate change, and I don't think that it's something, it's a thing, well, guess what? I'm not going to pass policies or work with policies or work with others who are trying to prevent the damage that climate change can do. Doesn't mean I want to kill people or I'm trying to kill anybody. I sit down like, how can I kill people tomorrow? Hey, yeah, you know what? Let me just go ahead and not pass this policy so I can just kill a bunch of folks. No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's more ignorance. Well, I don't believe this is true. And by not believing it, you are, or you probably can hurt other people. Another example. If you go around and you don't believe in vaccines for your children, and your child dies or contracts measles or some other disease that ends up killing them, doesn't mean that somebody's out there trying to kill your child. That's your negligence. That's your ignorance right there that put your child in harm's way. Then you can't flip it around. Well, you know, my child, she never had this and she never had that. I never gave her the vaccine, but I think somebody put something in the water and they're trying to kill us. It's a ridiculous way of thinking. So no, I don't believe in all these other crazy things that are going on out there, that there are people sitting in a boardroom somewhere thinking, how can we kill a bunch of black folks tomorrow? Now, speaking of black folks, forgot to mention, I am not denying that certain things, and black people have reasons to be paranoid, reasons to be afraid, reasons to be nervous. I do understand that. Our black young men or men are being killed unarmed by police officers, gun happy, trigger happy police officers. Would I believe that there's some of them out there, if they had the chance, they were given the license to just go out there and just indiscriminately kill black men, that they wouldn't do it? Of course. But do I think that whole police departments are sitting down and like, I want you to kill 15 black people this week, and I want you to kill 20. Bring your quota in. I want to make sure that you kill enough black people because we're trying to exterminate the black race. Do I think there are people doing that, or there are whole departments doing stuff like that? Of course not. But this is the mentality that goes on, that we think that there are people out there, coming together, an organized group of people. Yeah, the Ku Klux Klan would probably like to kill all of us black people, but they're being held at bay by certain laws. Doesn't mean that you won't have one or two in there who don't give a damn about any laws and will go out there and try to kill off as many black people as they possibly can. But do I think police departments or some secret group is meeting in a boardroom and saying, hey, how can we go ahead and kill a bunch of people tomorrow? No. Negligence? Yes. You have manufacturers where the CEO lives in some place in suburbia. Nice, clean, manicured lawns. He doesn't care about his manufacturing plant down in the commercial area that is dropping all sorts of waste in the river out back, and it's flowing down into the communities that are much poorer. He doesn't care. But do I think that he's getting up in the morning and saying, honey, I'm going to go down here to my manufacturing plant to make sure I kill enough black people, so let me just go ahead and drop some more poison in the water? No. But through his negligence, through his ignorance, and through his lack of concern, yes, in that sense, you can say he's harming people who may be less fortunate or don't have the resources or live in the places where he lives where these things does not affect him. Which brings me to what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to show you something really crazy. I have some good friends on Facebook, smart people, intelligent people, kind people, who believe that up in this sky right here, there are jets flying back and forth, dropping poisons to kill us all, to give us respiratory diseases, to harm us. And you keep hearing them using the word or the pronoun they. They're out to get us. They're trying to kill us. They this, they that. And they're talking about these streak of lines, lines that you see in the sky. And they say, well, they're known as contrails, or short for condensation trails. But they call them chemtrails. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. Just bear with me a second. Okay? Hey, I'll call you back in a minute, okay? Okay. Sorry about that. I guess I could edit that out, but I'll just leave it in there. Just keeping it real. Anyway, these are condensation trails that we see behind these jets flying up in the sky. But some of them stay in the sky long after the jet is gone. Sometimes for hours. Sometimes you see them for days. And they're people, good friends of mine, smart, intelligent people, that say, see, that is proof that they're dropping chemicals up there to kill us all. Now, I have always asked this question in relation to this, and no one has ever given me an answer, and I don't know if anyone has ever thought about it. Who are they? Where do they live? But here's a more important question. What air are they breathing? Are they breathing a different type of air from you? So if they are trying to kill us with chemicals from in the sky, what are they breathing? Do we see these they people walking around with their own little oxygen tank? I've gone to places where supposedly the government resides, like Washington, D.C. I've seen these clouds in the skies too. What are these people down there breathing if they're responsible for it? I don't see them walking around in any special masks on, wearing them, and it's like, we're wearing this because we're dropping chemicals on a bunch of people to kill them, but we breathe this kind of air. So when you think about it, it's just crazy. Now, if I did walk around and saw people, and I've come from an island. As a matter of fact, my mother comes from an island where it was rated the other day that it's the third by population or whatever in terms of billionaires that reside there. Now, this is probably their summer home, winter home, or whatever the case might be. Billionaires. It has a 5-star diamond hotel there where billionaires are always hanging out down there. I've gone to that island. I've seen those things in the sky, but I see these people laying on the beach. I don't see them with any special tanks and oxygen tanks and whatever, breathing in some different kind of air from me. So why do we think that they're up there spraying these things down and killing us? Now it goes back to what I say would be more of negligence. If you have jets up there flying back and forth and they're spewing out exhaust from jet fuel, do I believe that some of that stuff doesn't make it to the earth? And we might be breathing that in, and especially with so many aircrafts flying back and forth, that this may not have some sort of adverse effect to our health? Very possible. But do I think that Spirit Airlines or American Airlines flying by, or some jet flying by right now, is up there deliberately dropping things down here on Earth to go ahead and try to kill us off? No. There's a difference between things that happen because of ignorance and just plain old ignorance and negligence, as opposed to something that is deliberately planned out and done. So no one has ever been able to answer that question. So whenever they're talking about, oh, these are chemtrails, these are chemtrails, these are chemtrails, they're dropping. What air are these people breathing? Where are they going? Are they on some other planet somewhere that they're breathing something different than what I am breathing? They're breathing the same air that I'm breathing. Are they trying to kill themselves too? So this question has never gotten an answer. But anyway, let's go back to this contrail and chemtrail type of thing. Contrails, if you haven't heard about it, and you can go ahead and look on YouTube and you'll find a billion conspiracy theories about, oh, it's not contrails, they're chemtrails and so forth. A contrail is basically this, and you can see it right in your house. Whenever you have hot air or something hot meeting something cold, it produces something like a fog. Here in New York City, when I'm blowing the hot air out of my mouth into the cold air, you get this mist that flies out, the vapor. When you turn on your kettle, when that water heats up to a certain point and the water inside is hotter than the air outside, that hot air coming out into the cooler air around it, all of a sudden, you're going to get a vapor. It's going to start whistling. Same thing with clouds. Same thing with storms. When you have, in case you didn't know this, right? And in case you didn't learn this in science class, this is the way it works. When hot air rises from the ground, the air up there is much cooler. The air down here is much hotter. Hot air rises, cold air pushes down or descends. When the hot air goes up, meets the cold air coming down, you tend to have clouds, moisture. You may get storms. You may get lightning. You may get thunder. That's how science works. Meteorology, that's how it works. This is why in the central part of the United States, this time of year in the springtime, or over in the fall, you tend to get a lot of tornadoes and bad weather. Reason being, the warm air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico or from the southern United States is pushing up and meeting the cold air coming down from Canada in the northern part of the United States. When they meet, they clash, cause an upsetting, and before you know it, you have a nasty thunderstorm. That is just nature. That is just how it works. Well, the same principle happens with these jets when they're flying up there. But this is what a lot of people believe in chemtrails and so forth do not consider or think about. When that jet is way up there, it's flying up at a very cold altitude. The higher up you go, the colder the air gets. Okay? They're flying at a very, very high altitude. Now, when they're up there flying, they're kicking out this jet fuel, this jet exhaust, which is very hot. When it comes out of the jet, out of the engine, and it goes into the atmosphere right around it, which is very cold, you are going to get that trail of vapor, this white trail that follows behind the jet. Sometimes that vapor is there, but just for a matter of minutes. Sometimes you may not even see it. And other times, it comes out a long trail, and sometimes that trail stays up there for a while. Well, those people who believe in chemtrails will tell you, hey, the jet is gone. It's been gone for 2 hours now. Why is that long line still sitting up there in the sky? That's the chemicals they're dropping down on us to try to kill us. No, it's not. Here is what they don't tell you, or they may not know, which I think is more like they don't know. Let me not go with they do not tell you, because that sounds like conspiracy. This is where the ignorance comes in. Up in that atmosphere, you can have different things. The atmosphere can be very dry. When the atmosphere is very dry, there's no moisture really up there. When that jet exhaust comes out, because there's no moisture, the trail, the condensation trail, is either non-existent or it doesn't last too long up there because there's no water vapor to create anything. But if you have moisture up there, then when that jet exhaust comes out, there's moisture for it to line itself along. And it stays up there a little bit longer. But you can also have a sky where there's a lot of moisture up there in the upper atmosphere. And when the atmosphere is oversaturated with that moisture, and that jet kicks out that exhaust, it's going to create this long trail. And that long trail is going to stay up there for a very long time. And then the winds come in and start spreading them out or pushing them across the sky. Because they're like ice particles. It's like a solid that the wind is just pushing. And before you know it, they're lining all across the sky. They're sitting up there for hours. Now here's a word that you may want to look up. It's called sublimation. And what sublimation is, it's this. It works in different ways. In sublimation, if you have a solid, let's just say water, and you don't have much moisture out there or none at all, that water is going to form it's not going to go into liquid form or whatever the case might be, or the solid or whatever. It's not going to go into liquid form. It's just going to go from this straight to ice. And once it does that, it's not going to last too long in the upper atmosphere. So you're not going to go ahead and see any streaks and any lines or any duration of time. But sublimation works this way. When you do have moisture up there, a lot of moisture, it's going to take longer for these ingredients to sublimate, meaning that it's going to stay up in the sky for a much longer period of time, hence the long trails that you see. And it's going to stay up there for a much longer period of time, long after the jet is gone. And then the winds are going to come and start blowing them all over the sky. So you'll see it over your head here 1 minute. Before you know it, it's way down the street somewhere else, because the winds are blowing them around. Has nothing to do with anybody putting chemicals and leaving it up there to try to rain down on us and kill us. Now, with the jet fuel, jet exhaust and everything, yes, they're up there. When it rains and that rain comes down, it's probably bringing some of that chemical down to us, falling into our lakes, falling into our rivers, our water supplies, and it can have adverse effects. I am not denying that. That's the price of living in this modern world. Jets flying back and forth, carrying us back and forth, moving us back and forth. But that fuel comes out somewhere. And when it rains, it stays up there. And when it rains, that rain probably brings some of it down. But do I think that the jet manufacturers are sitting there saying, how can we kill a bunch of folks in New York City? How can we kill a bunch of folks in Washington, D.C.? No, I don't think that's what they're doing. But is there ignorance? Is there negligence? Or could there be better ways of doing these type of things? I don't know how they can go ahead and capture jet fuel that's floating around up there. I don't know how they can do it. And then still benefit us by traveling back, carrying us back and forth across the skies to different locations and destinations. I don't know. But this whole chemtrail argument, it's silly. Now you can go out there and you can find a bunch of videos where there are people telling you, oh, this guy confessed that we're doing this and we're doing that. All those things have been debunked. Armchair Bob, who doesn't know the first thing about flying a plane or how it works or whatever the case might be, is sitting at home telling you to be fearful and look at what they are up there doing to us. Again, the they people, what in the world are they breathing? What air are they breathing? Can you answer that question? Aren't they breathing the same oxygen I'm out here breathing? Do you see them with special suits on, walking, going to their jobs, going to their resorts, going to their vacation destinations? And all over this world you can find those type of things, those type of clouds. Cirrus type clouds that are caused by these contrails, condensation trails. So whenever anybody tells you this kind of nonsense, go ahead and look it up yourself. Just ask yourself a lot of times these conspiracies, you can usually just ask a very simple question. Just think, and a question comes to your mind, and you'll realize that there's no answer to it from the conspiracy theorists. But now for us as black folks, remember the other day, Ebola was supposed to be killing all of us? When last have you heard about Ebola in the news? It's been about 3 years now? But when it came out, oh, conspiracies are flying all over my Facebook newsfeed. Oh, they're putting this out here to kill us as black people. What was it? One black person died, if I remember. Oh, they put out AIDS out there to kill us black people. Yes, there are people dying of AIDS, all right. But again, do I think somebody's sitting down in a lab, let's hatch up this because we want to kill a bunch of black folks? If that was the case, AIDS has been around since what? We've known about it since like the 1980s. As far as I see, there's still a bunch of black people walking around the place. Some of them living with it, like Magic Johnson. Of course, he has money. But again, AIDS, sometimes through no fault of our own, we get it. But the standard way that people get it is by being infected by someone else with it. And a lot of times it's through what? Negligence, through ignorance. You have certain parts in Africa where people figure if they have AIDS and you have sex with them and some weird story, and you have other people not taking the necessary precautions and ending up with AIDS. But is someone breaking into your home and stabbing you with needles to give it to you? Is someone pouring it in your water? Is someone sprinkling it in your food? Which would be the easiest way to kill us all off. Put it in our foods, put it in our water. But we don't hear anything like that. So, like I said at the very beginning, I am not trying to say there are things we should not be wary of. I'm not saying that there are things that we shouldn't be a little fearful of. I'm not saying there are things that we should not be careful about. But in some of these things, if you think about it, we have choices. I chose to live in a big city. In this big city, it comes with the big city nonsense, pollution, rats running around the place, roaches all over the place. I chose to live here. I chose to live with the pollution that comes with it, the nastiness, the water supply being contaminated with all sorts of garbage. I chose to live here. But there are places in this world where I can go and don't have to deal with any of this stuff. I can go to Guyana right now, go out into the forest, grow my own foods, let the natural water from up above come down, fertilize, use natural fertilizers, and eat healthy. I don't have to sit here and go to a supermarket and buy processed foods. But I chose to. Many of us have chosen to. It's the price of living in these industrialized modern cities. Because we want to drive the fancy car. We want to make the big money. Well, this is where you're going to do it. But if you're concerned about your health, what you breathe, what you eat, what you drink, there are places in this world you can go and find those things in their purest forms. But how many of us are willing to do that? So instead of us doing that, we live in these big cities with all the big city problems, all the things that naturally come with the big city, the contaminations, the pollutants, the garbage, all this stuff. And then we complain that somebody's out there trying to kill us. We don't have to deal with this. I don't have to live here in New York City, driving down the road and a cop pulls me over and I look at him too hard, he's ready to pull his gun and shoot me. I can go to some island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean somewhere where I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. But am I willing to do something like that? You know, I would like to actually do that, actually. But I'm making money. My family's here. My kids are here. I got to raise them. I got to this. I got to that. I got to this. You feel trapped. You feel stuck. And so this is what happens. You end up getting stuck in a certain place, and then you have to deal with the, excuse the language, the bullshit of living in the city life, the big city life. It comes with its own problems. Anyway, just wanted to talk about this in this whole chemtrail and contrail thing that goes on, and people just getting all freaked out about stuff. Yes, I'm not saying that you don't have chemicals in those things that may not come down through the rain and so forth. But do I think that people out there deliberately sitting in boardrooms in these dark meetings thinking about like, hey, Bob, I want you to take up a tank tomorrow and I want you to fly it over Chicago because we need to kill a few black people over there. Again, in that same city, there are people who have money. There are people who run the show. I don't see them walking around breathing something different than I am breathing. So I don't know who the they are and where the they be, where they are at. So until somebody can explain that to me, I'll just sit here and just keep calling it contrails. This was your Serial Cynic. Have yourself a good day, okay? Bye.